So you guys probably already know this, but Manchester United need to improve. I think that's fair to say. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. The problem is, right now it's quite difficult to do. We can't bring players into the club right now because we seem to be broke or something, so we can't bring new players into the club to address a lot of the problems. However, in my opinion, there is actually a tactical change that Ruben Amorim could make literally immediately to straight away see Manchester United improve as a football team, and that is exactly what we are going to be looking at today. Before we get into it, if you could quickly subscribe to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. It's a new year, we're trying to grow, so if you could subscribe, it would be amazing, and then we'll get into the video. So before we can discuss how Manchester United can improve, we need to look at what they're currently doing wrong. And I think one of the big issues with the team at the moment is that defensively, we are just a little bit too passive. One of the main reasons for that is because we are often defending in a back five. Our wing backs aren't connected to the press. They are very often dropping off into this deeper position. Now, that isn't a crime to do that, but it does mean you are a little bit passive because you only have 5 players higher up the pitch ready to press, and that means that most teams are going to build with 6 players and simply outnumber you. And when teams outnumber you in the Premier League, they have the ability to take the ball and progress it. They outnumber you in these deep areas, and every team in the league has technical quality. Technical quality plus time on the ball equals territory. We are making it a little bit too easy for the opposition to move the ball forward onto us. You know, it's too easy to progress the ball, whether that be through the middle of the pitch or out wide. It's fairly easy to move forward against Manchester United, gain some territory, get a foot on the ball, and grow in confidence. Now, the solution to this problem is for Manchester United to try and get an extra player a little bit higher up the pitch. Now, I'm not talking about, ripping it all up and starting again. Ruben Amorim will always be a 3-4-3 manager, and that is absolutely fine. What we need to try and do is find a way to get an extra man in the press a little bit higher up the pitch, while still using principles that Ruben Amorim likes. So the solution for me, in my opinion, is to use a system which Ruben Amorim has used throughout his career and actually already at Manchester United. And I think what we need to try and do, purely out of possession by the way, again, Ruben Amorim has done this, I'm not asking him to change too much, but I think what we need to do is try and connect one of the wing-backs a little bit higher up the pitch. And I think the easiest way for us to do that is down the right side. Someone like Ahmad, perhaps at wing-back, moving a little bit further forward and asking the rest of the defenders just to shift across. Now again, this is only a defensive shape. On the ball, I want us to play exactly like we normally do. Out of possession, I think we need to try and get this extra player higher. You can see now when we try and press, we have 6 players as opposed to 5. That's an extra player. It should make life a little bit easier. And we've seen Ruben Amorim doing this already at Manchester United. For example, in the game against Everton, the 4-0 win. Now, this performance was far from perfect, but in moments we forced errors from Everton, we were able to win the ball and cause a lot of problems, and it came in this 4-4-2 shape. And in particular, Ahmad on the right-hand side. This is our right wing-back in this game, but he's not connected with the defensive line. He is being given that license to press a little bit higher. And we saw the effect of it in this game. He was able to win the ball back. This leads to a goal. It, of course, happened later on in the exact same game. Again, Ahmad, supposedly a wing-back here, but he doesn't look like he's got the position of a wing-back, and that is because he is allowed to connect to the front line. It's more of a 4-4-2 shape. Ahmad is given his license to play a little bit higher, and again, force errors, win the ball in these areas, and once again, what happened? It actually led to a goal. So Ruben Amorim has done this in the past, and I think he needs to do it again. Try and get Manchester United defensively into more of a 4-4-2. The question is, how do you actually do that in terms of personnel? Is it possible? I think the easiest thing to do is almost start off with step 1, and that is finding the right player for the right-hand side. The player that can play as a wing-back and move into the 4-4-2. It's obviously Ahmad. We've seen him doing it in those clips against Everton. When he played at wing-back when Ruben Amorim first came in, he was playing really well. Recently, I think his performances have dropped a little bit, and that's because he's not getting so many touches of the ball. I think he is perfectly suited in possession to the back 3 shape, because at wing back it allows him to get forward. Defensively, if the rest of the line then shifts, I think he's perfect to play in a 4-4-2 because he plays with tenacity. Ahmad sums up everything that we want Manchester United to be. Of course, technical on the ball, but defensively works with a real engine, a real commitment, a real hunger, trying to win the ball back. We saw it in those last 2 clips. It was only possible because Ahmad was at right wing back, but given the license to connect higher. But not only given the license to do it, he wanted to do it. He was willing to do it. He was hungry to do it. He had the desire to go higher and win the ball back. So I think he is the perfect player to play as the right wing back for United. Now that does mean we need to find a balance on the other side of the pitch. A lot of people want to see 2 wingers at wing back for Manchester United to make us more attacking, and I understand the idea behind it. But if we are trying to shift to a back 4 defensively, that doesn't actually make too much sense. For example, you might want Garnacho at left wing back for his on the ball threat, but defensively, if we then ask him to shift into a back 4 at left back, it doesn't really make sense. So we do need a fullback for this position. Now, ultimately, unfortunately, the best current solution is Diogo Dalot. Now, just hear me out on this one. I know his form has been incredibly poor recently and people are annoyed with him. But if you actually look at the Manchester United squad, there's not really any other option. Amas physically hasn't developed enough just yet. He's not ready to come into the team. Tyrell Malacia still coming back from a big injury. Luke Shaw never available. And Mazraoui I want to save for a different position in this team. So I do think Dalot is the best option. Defensively, he is comfortable playing as a left back and it still suits us, right? If you look across the team, players are going to be in comfortable positions. And I think that's very important. So far, it has felt a little bit like square pegs in round holes. That isn't the case with this. Dalot can play as a left back out of possession, Ahmad can play as a right midfielder, but still when we move to our on the ball shape, the back three, which we all know and love, we have players in decent areas. In an ideal world, we sign a new left back and we change things, but for now I think it has to be Diogo Dalot. So the question is, the three centre-backs. Now, when it comes to the centre-backs, I think the most important thing to look at is not just pure footballing ability, but actually the profile and the balance of players that we play across the back line. I think in our back three, we need some physicality. Manchester United, genuinely speaking, are a very weak team. We don't win our headers, we don't win our tackles. One thing we could do to try and help is get some physical players in that back three. Normally, it's a big advantage of the back three. We haven't really seen it yet, so let's try and get some physicality in that back line. Having said that, we do still need technical quality. Players that can play out from the back, that are comfortable on the ball, receiving in the first phase and playing forward, but also in the middle third of the pitch, actually progressing the ball through the lines. Of course, on top of all of that, we also need some athleticism. Players that can actually defend out wide. Yes, we want physical capabilities, but if they're big but actually really slow, they can't deal with the wide channels. So we do need a real blend. Something else we have to consider is the fact that the roles are different for each centre-back because of the shape that we have constructed. For example, like this, it's very much a back three. In this system, we know that the two wider centre-backs are responsible for ball progression. The middle centre-back has a slightly simpler role, particularly higher up the pitch. The wide centre-backs have to progress. However, if we are talking about adjusting our defensive shape into more of a 4-4-2, things are going to change. Now, I think the important thing here is that if you look at the players we've got in the team so far, they're all in a comfortable position. They're all in the position which actually naturally suits them, again, apart from Dalot, but we don't have much choice there. So we need to try and keep this with the profiles that we pick for our back three. So when we put Manchester United into the back three, I think we start off with the middle centre-back. And ultimately, there are two options right now. It's Harry Maguire or it's De Ligt. Now, for me, this one's a bit of a 50-50. I think they are similar players in terms of profile. De Ligt is a little bit more mobile, Maguire's a bit stronger and a bit more progressive. My personal preference is Maguire, but I'm not too fussed either way. I don't think this is a big decision. I think they can both play there. I would probably go with Harry Maguire for now, but I'm okay with either. So let's put Harry Maguire into the team. What we now need to do, and this is the big one, is find the right centre-back. Because this is a challenging position to find. Because what we need is someone that can play on the side of a back three in possession, play centrally, and be responsible for progressing the ball. But defensively, we're actually asking them to shift to a right back position. And if you remember, I said we were saving this player earlier. Mazraoui is perfect for this. And if we're talking about wanting technical quality, but also an ability to defend out wide, Mazraoui being a fullback, and a very technical fullback at that, is literally perfect for this system. He is the ideal player to play in this role. Because again, defensively we can play in a 4-4-2 like this, and Mazraoui, Dalot, Ahmad, Garnacho, they're all in comfortable positions. And then when we go to on the ball, Mazraoui is comfortable being the ball progressor. So the only other thing we really need to solve now is the left-sided centre-back. And for me, it's between Lisandro Martinez and Leny Yoro. Now, in the past, I think Lisandro Martinez would have walked into this Manchester United team, but right now he isn't doing enough for United, and we were talking about needing physicality at the back. We've already got Mazraoui in the back line, who isn't the most physical, so I think we do need a proper physical centre-back, and therefore I would go for Leny Yoro. Now, some of you are going to say that Leny Yoro can't play this position. In fact, it happened the other day when I said this on stream. This is why I like the idea of Yoro on the left-hand side, Mazraoui on the right-hand side. Now that clip was actually from before the Newcastle game, before we had seen Yoro at left centre-back for Manchester United. But my opinion was based on the fact that we've seen it before for Lille. He can play on the left side of the defence. And again, if we look at this from a profile perspective, it's really important here. We're looking for a balanced Manchester United team. Again, in this shape, on the ball, all these players are in a position where they are comfortable, apart from perhaps the inside forwards, but we can't solve that right now. If we look at it defensively, and we shift into our back four to be more aggressive, like Ruben Amorim has done in the past, we can see again these players are comfortable in their positions. And on the Leny Yoro topic, we saw him the other day playing as a left-sided centre-back on the left-hand side of a back three. And he looked pretty comfortable. He was still able to progress the ball. I think he perhaps lacked a little bit of confidence playing in this role. You know, it's the first time he's played here at Manchester United. So it's going to take a little bit of time to really see the best from him. But I think he looked comfortable. Defensively, we know he's tall, he's strong, but he's really quick and really agile. He is excellent at defending in the channels. And in terms of in 1-versus-1 situations, he does a great job of delaying the opposition, which gives him this calm, composed aura and feel to the way that he defends. So I think he's perfect for defending in wide areas. In terms of on the ball, his ball progression, he's not as good as Lisandro Martinez. Again, particularly in a position where right now, he may not be quite as confident. However, I think we saw an element of something that could actually work. Because he was right-footed, what he was doing in this game is Onana would play the ball to him, and he would initially let the ball roll across him onto his left foot. That's where he would take his first touch, because he is comfortable with both feet. However, what he was doing with this touch was actually taking quite a big touch back across his body to get the ball onto his right foot. Now, normally that might be a problem for Manchester United, but actually in this game what it did was it gave us a way of playing through the middle of the pitch, and that is something that Manchester United have really struggled with. We know that the left footer gives us the option to play out wide more. The right footer in Leny Yoro might actually give us some potential playing inside the pitch, and in terms of when the opposition are trying to set up to play against us, it's a very different dynamic to try and deal with, to try and predict. Again, it's not ideal. If you look through the team, there's a real lack of left footers. There is still somewhat a lack of balance, but we can only work with what we've got. And I think if Ruben Amorim wants to stick to his 3-4-3, that is absolutely fine. I would encourage that. He should absolutely do that. I just think defensively, he needs to squeeze one of his players just a little bit higher from the back five into the midfield four, and I think it will make us more aggressive, more solid, while still maintaining the same principles in possession. And also, we don't have to sign anyone to do it. I think it's a real potential short-term solution for Ruben Amorim, which could actually turn it into a long-term solution. It could unlock something for Manchester United. But those are just my thoughts, my opinions. I want to hear yours in the comments down below. Am I waffling and talking a load of nonsense here, or do you think I am onto something? Personally, I think this is pretty good, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Apart from that, we are finished for today, so thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.